Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. Good evening, good morning for some people, anywhere on the continent you are sitting. I said, welcome. Thank you so much. Whether you are in Freetown or Sydney, in Lomé or Los Angeles, Banjul, the Gambia, Philadelphia, Cairo, or Egypt, welcome to the Africa Desk. This is the platform for you. This space was built for you. It's not for governments, not for donors, not for foreign interests. For you, the African citizen, the African professional, the African student, the African mother and father, the African dreamer who loves this continent, even when this continent breaks your heart. I'm Semantis King, your host, and this is the Legacy segment, chapter 4 of 4. But before we begin the show and I introduce you to my guests, we'd like to send a lovely happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there in the world, especially our African mothers and sisters and daughters who are working hard, who are playing the dual role of being a father and a mother in the lives of their children. We'd like to celebrate you as the world celebrates Mother's Day tomorrow. Thank you for all you do for us, for all you do for our children, for our nieces, for our nephews, both on the continent of Africa and in the diaspora as well. Thank you so much. Also, I like to use this time to say happy Press Freedom Day to all the journalists around the world, especially African journalists who keep on sharing and highlighting the difficulties that Africa is facing and the challenges and opportunities that they keep bringing to the world. On Sunday last week, the world celebrated Press Freedom Day, and we want to be able to mention that here because we are part of the story. We would like to talk about that and extend thanks and appreciation to all African journalists, all African reporters, women, men, children, young people who have been doing the things they keep doing for our continent and for everything that they are doing. We'd like to say thank you for being a journalist that you can be and an influential person you can be. We would like to say thank you so much. In case you're just joining us, we would like to ask you to go to my page if you do not know my page, especially for those who are just joining because we cannot be live on the show page itself because of the limitation we have. Go to my page. I will send the link in the chat right now, or go also to YouTube at the Africa Desk Live, and then you will see us there, very live, on the show. Please remember that this show is for you and it's about you and it's for the people of Africa, it's for the continent of Africa. Now, back to the show. Um, you know, for 3 Saturdays, you've been with me as I have written this love letter out loud to the people who build me, the people who build with me, and to the people I have had the privilege of helping build. Today is the fourth and final Saturday, and the thread closes today. If this is your first time on the show, the Legacy series has been the 4 Saturday love letter that I have written and share with people. And you may have seen that. If you have not seen that before, well, know that this is the final episode. You can go back and watch some of the series we have conducted here. Today's show is slightly kind of different for me. I want to name it plainly before we can begin. The original ambition for the show was for me to gather all the people who shaped me through higher education, basically in areas that I have gone to school. But, and the seat that they hold did not really line up with the date. So the final that we're having today closes with the series in the spirit of what it was written for, which is what I honestly gathered and then bring it together for people to see on the record. I have two guests who will be joining me this morning. One walks the path that I walk as a project manager. The other walk alongside me when I needed someone to walk with. I will introduce them just in a moment. And so as we are going live and you're watching us now, I want you to do me one or two things. You can drop a comment in the chat from wherever you're watching. Let us know. We want to know the city you're watching from or the country you're watching from. Whether you are in Lagos, or Liverpool or Yaoundé or Kaduna, please let us know where you're watching for. And for those of you who will be watching later, I want you to also be aware that there has been recent changes on the part of Facebook, which means that the live recordings like this one, after 30 days is deleted, but on YouTube it is not deleted. It's there permanently, automatically is there. So as much as we appreciate the Facebook viewers and everything, if you want to be able to see some of the past events, probably will be helpful for you to go on YouTube to be able to see it at the Africa Desk Live. That's what we have on YouTube, and we're also on X. You know, and you can do that to be able to see. So let me drop the link in the chat right now for some of you who want to join. 1 minute, and then okay. I dropped the link in the chat for you to be able to see it. It's right there, and then for Facebook too. I'm going to drop the link there as well for you able to see it, and then we will go back to our show. Quickly, give me a minute, audience. Good. Okay. Now that we have taken care of the logistics, I'm going to go back to what I was telling you about. So I have two guests on the show. The first guest carries, contemporary things that I do. They walk with me. Her name is Miriam Isaac. She's Cameroonian by origin, senior project and program manager. She has an MBA. She has a MPA, just like me. She has a PMP, just like me, I should mention again, and a certified Scrum Master. She's the president of Project Management Institute, the Minnesota chapter, the seat that holds the room for everyone else. Across all 4 chapters of the series, she's the only woman in any of the series we've had. And this morning, she carries a closing voice. My second guest is Mr. Adegboyega Aiku. Okay, he's going to be joining us later on. He's the guide. I refer to him. Mr. Aiku is the director of material management at Seven Oak General Hospital in Winnipeg, Manitoba. He's Nigerian born, holding a CPP, a SCMP, and an MBA also. He has been a steady presence in my life for years when I was in Canada, and I'll say more about him later on when he joins the show as well. So right now, let me welcome Miriam. Welcome to the show, Miriam.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me this morning. I'm happy to be here.
Good. So we're going to start with you, and then we'll bring in Mr. Aiku. If we could start with you right now, for viewers who are just meeting you for the very first time, take us back to the beginning. What was Cameroon to a young Miriam, and what or who set you on the path that brought you here to the United States?
Well, I was born and raised in Cameroon up until the age of about 16 or 17. When we were younger, my dad moved to the United States to pursue his master's degree. And so when I got to about 16, he thought it was a good idea for us, me and my siblings, to move to the United States to be with him and obviously have better opportunities. So that is how I ended up here.
Yeah. Impressive. So, project management is a discipline that requires both the rigor and the translation. Walk us through how you found project management. Was it a deliberate path for you, or did you find it?
It was. I think it was a little bit of both, actually. So, when I moved to the United States, I went to high school, went to college, and when I graduated from college, it took me a while to find my path. I mean, I had a couple of degrees, but I couldn't find a job that I felt fit the skills that I wanted. I tried different things, and 6 months to 9 months into any job, I would get bored. and didn't want to move. And I just thought, this is not what I want to do. Like, I need to figure out, what the right path is for me. So I decided to go back to school to get my MBA. I moved back to Mankato, tried to get my MBA because they were starting an MBA program. And unfortunately, because it was so new, I couldn't get into all the classes that I wanted to. So I switched to the MPA because I didn't want to waste the time that I had gone down there. So I got an MPA with a nonprofit management certificate and moved back to the Twin Cities. So it still took me a couple of years to find my path, but I decided to really think about what I love to do. What do I enjoy doing? I thought back to my college days where I would, plan events at school and be the MC and like finish the event. And then, just the excitement of wrapping it up was so great. And so together with, just thinking about all that brought me to the path of project management. At the time, I was working at Keller Graduate School of Management and talking to other students. It just clicked. I love the idea of working on a project, wrapping it up, moving up to something next. And I figured I wouldn't be bored if I was working on different projects. So that's how I decided to go into project management. So I decided to take the courses, ultimately getting my PMP, and the rest, as they say, is history.
As an immigrant in this country, and I can attest to this, it's very challenging to go to school here, and even find job. Um, how were you able to overcome some of the challenges that we face as immigrant?
You know, to a certain degree, my situation was a little bit different because my dad was already here, and he had gone through some of the challenges, right? So
Mm,
in a sense, I had some advice from him on how to navigate that. But some of it you have to figure out for yourself, right?
mm,
And that the best way I was able to do that is finding community, right? Community of
mm,
my peers, other Africans who are going through it, and learning from them and getting advice from them. But not just Africans. I mean, just finding a community as you're going through the process and asking questions, and really figuring out what it is that you want to do, and really making sure that you get help with the challenges that you're facing. I think that's what helped me the most. I still have friends that I went to college with, right? Because
mm,
you build those strong relationships and they sort of sustain you through the difficulties that you go through. So I would
mm.
say, yeah, just having that community is what really helped me get to where I am today.
That's good. Someone listening to you might be wondering, so how do I go about getting in the community? I'm new here. Maybe I've been here for a while, but I don't even know how to go about finding my community or getting to my community. How do they go about doing that?
You know what? You can find community anywhere, right? But
Mm,
sometimes you have to get out of your comfort zone, right?
mm,
When I decided to join PMI Minnesota, I knew one person who was volunteering at the time, and then they left. So when I joined, they were leaving. They talked to me about it, and then they left. And so it was just about being brave and saying, okay, well, this is, I don't know everybody, I don't know anyone there, but if I go and I offer to help and be a part of this community, most people are willing to help. Most people love to help, right? And so
mm,
just putting yourself out there. So it can be uncomfortable, but in order for you to change and grow, you have to be willing to
mm,
do something that you're not doing, right? So if you stay the same, you're going to be stuck. So you have to be able to change and to be willing to put yourself out there. And so you can find community in your schools, you can find community in your church. There are people in the churches that are professionals, right?
mhm,
So you can find people there. You can find even in your place of work, unemployment, in your place of employment, you can find people there. But you have to be brave, and then talk to other people around you, and just don't be afraid to say what you're looking for. I think that's what people are always afraid. So if you're looking for a job, don't be afraid to tell the people that you're looking for a job, because you don't know who you're talking to or who they know, right? So just being willing to put yourself out there, I think, is a really great way to find community. And just look around, the people that you're with. You'll find that even if they don't know, even if they're not in the job or the career or the school, they might know someone, they might be married to someone, they might be friends with someone, they might be going to church with someone who can help you. So,
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for that. And
okay.
looking now at your degrees and certifications, you have an MBA, and you mentioned the MPA, the PMP, CSM. These that's a serious stock of certifications and degree. What does each one actually do for you in the work, and which one earn it keep in the most surprising way for you? Like, which one of them do you really admire? Like, oh, of all these ones, I think this is the best for me. You know?
Well, I'm the president of PMI Minnesota, right? So I would say my PMP is the one that I use the most. But the MPA surprisingly helped as well. So when I switched to the MPA because I couldn't complete my MBA in Mankato, I was thinking at the time, well, I maybe I can join the UN, or maybe I can run a nonprofit. But I didn't end up doing that. And I felt like initially I felt like it was a waste. But when I moved to the Twin Cities, I joined MIN, which is a Minnesota International NGO Network. And I was able
Mm,
to be a part of that organization, help to grow it. We started the first kind of annual gathering for that organization along, my friend Heather and I were part of that community. And so I used the master's in public administration and my nonprofit certificate. And now I'm president and CEO of another nonprofit, right? So surprisingly, it came full circle. So even though you think you might not use it, you don't know what the future is. But I would say, the MBA and the PMP in my professional life have been the most impactful because the MBA allows you to learn about all aspects of business. And so when I
mm,
was choosing to move to become a project manager, I wanted to make sure that I had the professional backing, the brand. I wanted to make sure that I had the knowledge to be able to do that. And so going for the MBA and going for the with a focus in project management and ultimately getting the PMP was my way of making sure that I can show employers that I am a professional in this. I have worked hard. Besides my experience at work, I've been certified by the body that certifies PMI project managers. So I say they all do different things for me. And so now I straddle the line between a business person and someone who's also running a nonprofit, which is, it works out for me. So,
a young person, maybe another professional who is in a different field, doing something else, which is not really striking for them, is not panning out, is not really doing anything successful for them. Who might be thinking, well, I mean, I want to become a project manager. What do I need to do? What can I do? What's the first step for me? What would you say to that kind of person who is already a professional, but they want to be, pivot into project management?
well, I've talked to quite a few of those. Just in my journey as a project manager and my current role, I think people will be surprised by the fact that they are already working on projects. And so that's usually the surprise when I talk to people about, when they say, I want to pivot. I said, well, let's look at what you've done, right? How do when they look at what they've done, like, how did you get this done? How did how long did it take? And they realize, I'm like, you were working on projects, you just didn't have the title. And so it's getting them to kind of shift the mindset to say you are already working on projects. You work in projects in your life. If you wanna build a house, that's a project. If you want to change the color of a room, that's a project. So we're doing it every day. So it's just shifting that mindset. And so then I would say, reach out to PMI Minnesota and say, hey, I'm interested in project management. Can someone talk to me about it? Right. That is why we're there. We are there as a resource to talk to you about it, maybe give you directions. A lot of universities also have programs that can help you start maybe with a certification, or maybe if you want to go for the full degree, you can do that. But I would say talk to someone. And I think PMI Minnesota is a good resource to just start, and say,
Mm,
hey, how do I get into this? We have mentors, right? So we
mm.
have mentorship. You can get a mentor who can talk to you about it, tell you about their journey, and maybe give you direction on some of the things that you can do.
Okay, good. Well, related to that, you are the president and CEO of Project Management Minnesota. What does that volunteer leadership give you um, that the day job that you currently do does not give you?
Well, I mean, I think so. I'm a director of program management and at my current role, and being a volunteer at PMI Minnesota impacts what I do in my day job because I've had to learn and grow and figure out how to network and figure out how to navigate relationships, right? As a president and CEO, you're working with a bunch of different people with different experiences from all walks of life. So you have to learn how to navigate those relationships and maintain them even when you disagree. And so I've learned a lot. My leadership skills have grown by the leadership roles that I've taken on at PMI Minnesota. And so those have actually impacted the work that I do. I like giving back. So I do my job and I enjoy my job, but I love the idea of giving back, of talking to new project managers and encouraging them to join and encouraging them to let them know that, hey, project management is a sustainable, career path. You can have it for a long time. There are always going to be project managers. Even if AI comes in today, they're not going to take your job because you still need the project managers. I love encouraging people to pursue that, and I love being a part of the community of project managers because they're just. They're all like lifelong learners, right? So they're there. There's a community. I've made lifelong friends, and so I think that it feeds that aspect of my life where I want that community, right? It's not that you can't get it at work, but this is just a very different one that impacts the work that I do, just highlights it.
Absolutely. So we need to name something directly here to the audience. Please bear with me. Um, Miriam, you are the only woman across our entire Legacy series right now. We started in April, series one, series two. Series one was basically talking about the environment I grew up in when I started journalism in Liberia. And then series two was the experience that I had when I became a refugee in a refugee camp and the people we impacted, the people we trained so that they become journalists themselves. And some of them work now in the highest levels of governance in Liberia. And then series three was the fellowship that made me to come to the United States. I traveled with 10 other international journalists, and one of them was Mamadou from Senegal. He was on series three. This is series four right now. What do you want African women on the continent and even in the diaspora to take from your story, Miriam?
I think, I don't think my story is unique, right? Because I love the fact that I'm the only woman in the series, but I hope to see more women come into, this podcast and talk about, their experiences and their journeys and their opinions because, women are brilliant, of course. But I would say my story is not unique. There are amazing African women out there doing wonderful things, whether it's here or in the US or in the diaspora or back home. They're doing incredible things. And I think I want people to take from my story, what I want people to take from my story is that you can do it. Whatever your goals are, as long as you keep them in the forefront, you can do it. Your journey might not be the same as mine. It might have a little bit more twists and turns, but you can get to where you want and even do way better than I've done, right? So I think you just have to keep those goals and those dreams in the forefront and not give up when obstacles come. Always try to keep going, find a way to move around those obstacles and get to where you want to go.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Miriam. That is Miriam from Cameroon. I will be bringing in the second guest, and we'll go back to you, Miriam, later on. But if you're just joining us for the first time, please check in the chat. I have dropped links in there for Facebook and YouTube. You can click on them or even share it with the audience. Share the show with some of the friends you have, the relative, the colleagues, so that they can learn from here, learn from these two amazing individuals. Now, I'll be bringing on Mr. Aiku and Miriam. I will be with you in a moment, please.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, well, there you go.
Hello.
There you go. So my second guest just joined us. He was in the backstage, but he just joined us. This is Mr. Aiku. He's the director of material management. Like I mentioned, Nigerian born. He has been someone I would call like a father, someone who has been there for me and my family. And for those of you who may not know much, and I'm going to be talking much more in detail about this relationship, but let me welcome you officially to the show, Mr. Aiku. Welcome to the Africa Desk.
Thank you so much, Semantic. Nice to be here. And good morning from my part of the world.
Good. Mr. Aiku, take us back to Nigeria. Who were you before coming to Canada, and what made you start looking around, outward especially, and say, hey, I'm in Nigeria here, maybe this, I need to look beyond Nigeria. What happened?
Okay, so yeah, my story. Thank you for bringing me on here. My story is a little bit different. I grew up in an era when Nigeria was quite good, when merit was still a very tangible prerequisite for most of the things that you get. But at some point in time, specifically in 2011, I was already a manager in a multinational shipping company. And by the way, I got all my job in oil and gas in shipping company on merit. You don't need a godfather. You just have to study, pass the exams, and you're in interview after interview. So, like Nigeria, the perk of the office was good. I already had an official car, a driver, life was good until 2011. Unfortunately, I had an encounter that almost altered my life. I was involved in a robbery situation back then, and I was left for dead. But by grace of God, I say I survived. So it dawned on me at that point in time, because we used to travel back and forth. I mean, we were able to go to some countries and go back to Nigeria. Like I said, Nigeria was good. So when that incident happened, I didn't get the kind of help that I needed on time. And even with all the efforts that we were even ready to pay, I would say the system failed me. So I have medical coverage based on the company that I work with, but I couldn't get there. This happened on the roadside. The nearest hospital wouldn't touch me. They needed police clearance, and I was left for them. My wife was there. So that changed my perspective. I was an advocate of Africanness. Nigeria was everything to me. Up until that moment, I realized that life must have some value. So that was the point I told my wife, no, we have to begin to look at alternatives. And the alternative then is either common alternative was to travel and you stay back with the visiting visa. We had visas, but I told my wife I will not leave the country and become a second citizen that I will have to hide myself elsewhere. I want a legal, a country that I'll go to, that I will be able to aspire, I will be able to contribute. I will not be under the table. So 2 countries came to mind, Australia and Canada. And I said, okay, I'll go for Canada. Luckily enough, we got some help. And there are some people that played a role, tangible role, based on their record here and based on the reputation in Nigeria, that they were able to support our applications. So I migrated here on what we call economic class. Economic class then was recruiting for professionals with some funding, evidence of funding and all that. So it was a situation that should take like 5 years, but we somehow in 13 months, I found myself in Canada. On the offer to come in here, I was evaluated to be a manager. But on landing, the experience, the reality of coming abroad stare us in the face. So with all the qualifications, with all the experience, it became almost nothing. My first degree was in accounting. So I was coming, and my contact with supply chain happened when I started my career in oil and gas. So I was in that operation logistics department. So that was where I picked the strength in that supply chain from. And I said, no, this is a career to pursue. So when I came in here and, typical immigrant, you dust your resume with my quote on the street of Manitoba looking for job. And I would say the kind of people you meet on coming to a new environment like this determines a lot that you would achieve in a foreign land. So I will stop at that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, for the audience listening out there, can you imagine this is a professional who was already living a good life, but based on what I'm hearing, it was health. Basically, it was because of health.
Yeah.
Maybe there was no good healthcare system as big and as rich as Nigeria is. Then you question yourself, why would there be a health issue, or people be experiencing health difficulties in Nigeria as rich in mineral resources and as educated Nigerians are? Then this goes back to the governance, the leadership we have and everything. What does the system have in place? We'll talk about those when we go to the Nigeria chapter when we're discussing each of the countries, but we'll leave that for now, for them. Mr. Aiku, this must have been an interesting story of yours coming here. And for someone who is listening to you, I know there might be details that maybe you may not want to talk on air, but take us through the process. If someone wants to come the same way you came, maybe a different way, what do they need to do to be able to say come to Canada or Australia or the United States, but more specifically Canada, because that's where you had your experience coming.
Mhm.
What are the challenges? How do they overcome those challenges about trying to come over to Canada?
Well, the first challenge I would say is please, as much as possible, if we're not in that panic situation, come to Western world legally. Um, it makes your life easier. At least you have the authority will not be behind you for any reason. Then you can now concentrate and and plan your life. Second thing is you must be very resilient to live here. The system is not the same. This system will humble you. This system will torment you if you are not ready for it. And this system can take away your dreams. But above all, I will tell you for sure, this system works. The moment you plug in through the right way, is a system that works. So you have to be prepared to learn and unlearn at any point in time. You have to be prepared to even diversify, maybe change career. You know, um, there are areas that they are really looking for people with competency. If you have the drive, you can actually switch your profession here and still get to where you want to be. Again, you must learn to work with people. I heard Miriam talking about um, uh, networking,
Communities. Yes,
community,
networking.
and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need people around you to succeed here. You need information. Don't stop talking to people. Don't stop asking questions. And again, reach out. If you're a professional, start talking to them even before you get to this land. Go on their website, look at all the informations that you need, and pursue it diligently. Do not lose your dream. If you're coming here and you feel, oh, I'm too old, I got here close to 40 and I went back to school. You have to really do everything almost all over again. you know
Yeah.
uh, and I say to people, the money that you bring in here, you have to preserve it right away. And that is why we try to educate people that just come into the country. Sometimes it's your life savings, that's all you have, and it can go very quickly. Look at the exchange rate. If you don't preserve what you have, you can be stranded here and without money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, we it's a very different approach, and you need people around you.
Okay. So if you're listening, you are in the audience or you're just watching this later on in the day, tomorrow, in the month, whatever it is, you heard what Mr. Aiku just said. If you are an African, a young man setting a young woman in Kaduna, in Yaoundé, in Monrovia, and you are interested in really changing your career, looking outward like he did, stay tuned. Drop us a comment in the chat section. Whatever questions you may have for Miriam or Mr. Aiko, please drop those comments there or questions there. We'll get to those questions later, but we want to welcome you to the show and say this is the Africa Live desk. This is where we discuss Africa, the importance of education, our people, our leadership, elections. We, the diaspora Africans living in the diaspora, we send a lot of money back home, in terms in money remittances. Yet we have no say in African leadership, in African elections. We have no say. But we will be talking about those in the subsequent months to come. So back to the show here. Mr. Aiku, walk us through your first 24 months when you arrived in Canada. What did the system tell you your Nigerian credentials and experience were worth?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah. It was a harrowing experience.
Hmm.
When you look back and what you have achieved, when you look at the quality of experience that you have back home, and it amounts to almost nothing. It's getting better now, especially in Canada. People come and they find jobs in their profession. But in our time and the time before us, it was quite challenging. First is, our educational system is different, and people here, they want things that they can relate with. So we have to go back to school. The first 24 months, I spent it repositioning. I call it repositioning myself. You have to go back to school, learn the ethics of the work ethics here, learn the educational system, pass through the whole thing, and get my certification, back again here. I was able to do it in a very record time. Within 13 months, I was through with my certification again. That was when the job began to come. And yes, so you have to be ready, like I said, to learn and re-unlearn at any point in time. You have to also to network. I joined the Professional Association Supply Chain Manitoba, and we went through internet training, seminars, and all that. I went back to University of Manitoba. I did some courses in Western, in Ontario. So everything came together, got certified, and the job came. And the job will definitely come. And again, I want to say this clearly, based on the experience that we have, many of us are already at leadership before we came in here. So if you want to be back to that status of leading people here, that is when the MBA comes handy. You have to demonstrate that you have the professional background, you have the experience, you also have the leadership qualification that can actually give you that leadership role.
That is so interesting to know. And there is there when a young Nigerian engineer or supply chain professional listens to you this morning, or even maybe later on, and ask themselves whether to stay in Nigeria or to leave, where do whether to specialize or pivot into different things, what do you most want them to take with them?
Okay, so the choice of living or in Nigeria or coming overseas depends on the individual. For me, like I said, I never thought I would live abroad. I thought Nigeria was good. So some people are in that position, so they shouldn't worry. Keep your profession. Supply chain is a very versatile profession. Every one of us do one thing or the other around supply chain or material management every day. You go to grocery, you buy stuff, you stock your stock, you go into contracts, you sign your mortgage. Those are supply chain activities. So it's a very good profession, especially abroad right now, because especially after the COVID, you can see that the whole world depended on supply chain, including even the flights, So it's a very noble profession. It's something that I will encourage if you're coming here to check it out. And, when you look at the pay, at the entry level is way more than the average pay of any other regular job. But see, what I want people to take along with them is take your resilience with you.
Mm,
It's not going to be a broad street. I
mm,
say broad street. There are bumps on the way, but
mm,
when you come here, you're ready to learn. You're ready to mingle with people. You're ready to ask questions. Then you will be on the right path. Information is everything. Information is the key to this country. Information can elevate you. The contact, the relationship that you keep will fast track your life abroad. It's not all about failure. Failure. There is a good opportunity here. And remember, I mean, that's like you always say, as Semantic, when we discuss, Africa could benefit from our knowledge. We have a
absolutely.
lot of, look at Miriam, but it just to make that area conducive for us to be able to practice what we have learned. The knowledge here is huge, and again, you don't need to have a godfather, or you just exhibit your knowledge and people will recognize you.
Absolutely. Now, where has your Nigerian formation made you a sharper supply chain leader, and where have you had to set parts of that down? Say, oh, I'm Nigerian, I got all these values, I have all these things, and they made me to be a better supply chain leader here. But then, at some other areas where I need to drop this one down. So, which one?
You see, I'm a Nigerian, and the spirit of Nigerian is we challenge, and just like, this is common to all the black race.
Hmm,
I personally like to go to where the people say it's not possible,
hmm,
right? So I want to be in that room where I will be the only one. I want to be in that conversation where people shy away to discuss. So if you come out with that kind of strength, that is the way we were built in Nigeria. I was exposed to a lot of training. I work with multinationals, so training was adequate for me. So I brought that mentality of ready to learn, and flexibility alongside of it.
hmm,
And so those are the values that we imbibe
hmm.
and brought into this environment, and those are the values that is still propelling us, propelling me to today. The Nigerian of our time was greatly on value of hard work, since integrity and transparency, ready to learn, respect. Those are core values that our parents, our environment taught us then, and those are the values of discipline that we still exhibit till today. I've been director for 17 years, and a department of over 109 people and managers and all that, and the team spirit, the team working with team and recognizing people, showing respect to people has kept me going.
That is awesome. You're listening to the Africa Desk Live, a Pan African talk show that discusses Africa, discusses education in Africa, healthcare, technology. And we're in conversation today with Mr. Adegboyega Aiku and Miriam Isaac. Now I'm going to bring Miriam back to the show to join us. Welcome back to the show, Miriam. If you are just joining us for the first time, viewers, please know that this is the Africa Desk Live. We are live on X. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. We are working towards being able to be live too on LinkedIn and other areas as well. But again, the goal for the show is to showcase African talent to the world. You know, Africans on the continent and Africans abroad. There is so much talent we have that we can bring together and make Africa a better continent than it is right now. But the thing that needs to change is the systems we have in place. Those systems need to change, and I will get into the politics in the subsequent months to come. But today is all about the Legacy series, which ends tonight. So I brought the two of them to the show here. I will give them the opportunity to talk to each other. But Mr. Ike, let me start with you first. You and I have known each other for years. You are one of the steady presence during my Canadian chapter. I live in Canada for some time. And before I came back to the United States, as we close this legacy series, I want to put that relationship on the record for everybody to know that I have known Mr. Aiku for years, and he has been very helpful. He has helped Nigerian, non-Nigerian, even immigrate to Canada, helped them through different ways of finding the path towards better living and better way in Canada. What does that kind of guidance, Mr. Aiku, that kind that does not even advertise itself, actually consists of, in your view?
Thank you. When you open a door and you are successful at it, you have to keep the door open for others. If we're not at the table, you can influence the decision that come out of that table. As many, let me see, and if you prove yourself in a place, you have to bring others that, yes, I know people like me that can even do better. So coming to Canada for me provided a very good opportunity to help a lot of other people that are aspiring. And Africans have the good brains. Like I said, 17 years ago, I was the only one in the room. Now I see a lot of Black people in C-suite group in many organizations, high flyers. We are equipped, well equipped. We just need opportunity for somebody to pull you into that environment. And that's what I try to do with the knowledge that I have, with the little contacts that I have, to open those doors for a lot of people that are willing to come into that table.
Thank you, Mr. Aiku. Miriam, you walk the path that I walk, which means you're in project management. I'm in project management, and you have certifications that I also have. And Mr. Aiku walk alongside me on the part of my relationship with him that I have built. Two of you, two different countries, two different industries, two different cities, but in some ways the same path. I want you to talk to each other now. Where does your story run, Miriam, with Mr. Aiku's? And Mr. Aiku, where does yours run with her? And where does it diverge? And what does it tell young Africans watching about how careers like yours actually can get built? So we'll start with you, Miriam.
I would say, one of the things that resonated with when Mr. Ike was talking about is the aspect of not losing your dream, right? When you come here, there are going to be challenges because, like he was saying, he was already established in Nigeria. And then now you have to come here and start all over. So if you are of the mindset where you have to put your ego down, you have to put all of those things aside and just focus on what it is that you want to achieve. Because if you're stuck in the fact that, oh, I was the big guy, and you're not going to achieve anything, you have to just forget about all of those things and just focus on the dream that you want to achieve. Whether it means that you're going back to school, put your head down. It doesn't take that long, and you're going to achieve what. So don't lose sight of that dream. You have to keep it going, and you just have to find the ways to make it a reality. And the fact that he's helping people and he's been doing it for years, that's basically what I was saying too, is like find that community, because the more you talk to people, the more you share what it is that you're trying to do, you might be surprised by the help that you get.
Thank you, Miriam. And for you, Mr. Aiku, the same question posted.
Yes. See, one thing that stood out, Miriam, when we were talking, she didn't settle for less. It is common for people to come abroad who I just want to, aspire.
Yeah.
You have to show yourself that you are capable. You have to step forward for bigger position. Leadership is where we are lacking as Africans right now. And I'm glad Miriam is in the world of her own. She's just extraordinary in stepping forward. I mean, Minnesota leading a whole professional organization in a Western country. It's not a small feat. Right, so stepping out there, she said in a speech that she saw people that introduced her left immediately, but she stood.
Mhm.
She's told because she's focused. She's got that program. I want to be the head of this at some point, and that is the drive that keep her where she is today. We need that visibility. We need to demonstrate that we can do it. We need to demonstrate that we carry something as well. And we also need to continue, like, interacting with one another, encouraging people. Don't settle for less abroad. You can be anything you want to be. And that's the goal. And that's why we help people. There are some Nigerians here today doing very, very in politics, in engineering, in sciences. We are really challenging the system, and it's good for us. It's good for all.
Good. Well, I in particular, I talk about my legacy series, but then in general terms, many people talk about legacy. Oh, that's my legacy. Oh, this is my legacy. Generally speaking, and people talk about those in so many different ways. In your own words, each of you, in plain language, what is legacy not, or what is not legacy to you? I'll start with you, Miriam.
I'd say legacy is not about how far you reached, how much money you made. It's none of those things. For me, it's about what impact you made in people's lives, right? If I at the end of the day helped people achieve the dreams that they want, maybe go for the role that they didn't think they could do, gave them a direction, or in any other way, just if I made an impact in someone's life, that is the legacy that I want. I want people to remember how I made them feel, how I supported them, and and made a difference in their lives. So that is what I think legacy is. So I hope that at the end of my journey, that is what people will say, that I did for them.
Thank you, Miriam. And for you too, Mr.
Honestly, you just saved my mind, Miriam.
Great
We work
minds.
so hard, yes, because it's the best legacy to leave. We are not rich,
Yeah.
but we leave legacy of service, supporting people. It's the best legacy that you can leave for the next generation. Life is only worth living when you look back and people say, that man, that woman plays significant role in where I am today. And that is the legacy. Like I told you in the opening, that in our time, we have role model. Chief Obafemi Awolowo was a role model. He gave us education. Many of us that are speaking today, we went through free education in our time. Nigeria was a great country. If not, many of us would be in the village today. We brought nothing here, and at the end, you will take nothing. If you don't give that information, you will die with it. You know,
Mhm.
so help as many as you can. Money will fade, but your name, I will always been dead for more than 40 years, but his name still resonates with a lot of people till today. That is a legacy I pray and I'm working towards to leave behind. Legacy of a good name. People
Thank
can
you.
say, I am here today because of this guy.
Thank you. Well, listeners, if you're just joining us, this is a conversation we're having with Miriam Isaac, who's the president of PMR Minnesota, and Mr. Adiboiga Aiku, who's the director of Seven Oak General Hospital of Material Services in Winnipeg. We are discussing African talent, African expertise. If this is your first time, this is the Africa Desk. It happens every Saturday, 10 a.m. We discuss African expertise, education, healthcare, technology, and politics. We don't shy away from that. And we have 6 minutes to go. But before then, two more questions I'll be asking the two of you. To the parent listening right now in Africa or somewhere in North America or somewhere in Europe, or who will be listening later, whose child has told them that they want to leave the country for school or for work and they want to travel abroad, what do you want that parent to hear? I'll start with you, Ms. Aiko.
Okay, so going abroad, I would say from Nigeria or from Africa, for instance, is a very, very good investment. The level of education abroad is far, far better. I mean, let's be practical. And the opportunity, the world now is a global village. You need a certificate that can compete around the world. That's the reality. And you need the training, the right background. If your child is well equipped in that and say, okay, I'm going abroad, and if you have the resources, please invest in them to go abroad. Miriam went to school. She's got network of friends here there in the United States. That is the network. Those are the guys that will rule the world at some point. You know them, right? There's opportunity. There's a great investment in that. Let your kids go abroad. Knowledge that they have, if they choose at some point to come back home to help the nation, it will be very handy. The network will be very handy. We can actually see, going back today, if the government will do the right thing and we go back, they will benefit from our exposure. They are actually benefiting now in terms of remittance. They can benefit from our technical know-how, our connection, and all that. So it's all win-win. It's a good thing to do. It's a good investment.
Thank you. And you, Mary?
I second that 100%. I think the knowledge that your child is going to gain here is definitely something that we need back home. It doesn't mean that your child cannot be successful back home. They can. It's just, depending on the country, the resources might not be there. The jobs might not be there. In Cameroon, I know a lot of smart people that I went to school with. They have college degrees, but if there are no jobs, what are they going to do? So giving them the opportunity to come abroad, gain the skills, and then as Mr. Aiko said, if they choose to come back, they can use that knowledge to go and make things better. Look at the issues that you had with getting the right type of medical care. If you send your child here and they become a doctor and they gain the skills that the skills that they need, they can take that back home. Tomorrow, maybe your country or your city didn't have a heart surgeon, and all of a sudden you have a heart surgeon now who can actually do it the right way. So I think just giving the kids opportunities is a good thing. We can obviously still succeed. I have friends who are in Cameroon that are doing really well. You can still do that, but don't say I don't want to send my child because it's not a good thing. It is a good thing.
Thank you so much. In 30 seconds, this is a closing reflection now. 30 seconds, each of you. What is the one thing, the single most important thing you want every person who tunes into this discussion today? What is it you want them to walk away from this conversation? Each of you. I'll start with you, Mr. Aiko. 30 seconds.
Remain focused. Do not set aside your dream. Anywhere you're in the world, you can actually achieve your dream anywhere.
Thank you. Miriam?
I would say continue to tune in because this is a conversation that is needed, right? It's a conversation that is needed between those of us in the diaspora and those of our brothers and sisters who are in Africa somewhere. By coming together, we can find solutions to some of the issues that we're experiencing in Africa today. To your point, Ms. Aiko, we are sending remittances today, and that's a ton of money that we're making, but we can make an impact beyond just the remittances. So just by communicating and learning from each other, I think we can make a difference.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Mr. Aiko. Thank you for showing up. Those of you in the audience, thank you so much, Mr. Aiko, for having you here. I am looking forward to more conversations. I appreciate your time, Miriam. I appreciate your time, Mr. Aiko. Thank you so much, and please take care, and we'll keep in touch.
Thank you.
There was it, folks. That is what you heard. Thank you for showing up today, for sitting with these conversations, for dropping in and letting us know. But this is the part I have been holding for this morning, and I want you to be able to understand this, that we've had the series for a while, from series 1 to series 2 to series 3, and this is series 4. But this has just begun. Next Saturday, May 16th, the Africa Dex Live opens a new chapter. We are calling it the 54 Conversations. 54 countries on the continent of Africa, 54 sovereign stories, one Saturday at a time, one country at a time, 1 hour at a time. We will open with Senegal. Senegal's capital is Dakar, the land of the Teranga, the wall of world for the kind of welcome that decides what kind of country a country is. From the music to the mosquitoes, to the elections, from Senegal to Diouf, this is a country with a great idea, and great legacy to teach the rest of us. And next Saturday, we are going to be listening. May 16, 10 a.m. Do not miss that. Live here on Facebook, on X, as well as on YouTube. This is the platform. If the Legacy series brought you here by way of accident or invitation, please stay tuned. The 54 conversations are just going to be the beginning. You know, you can follow us, you can share the show, you can recommend to other people. And so this is what's going to be happening until next Saturday. Go in love, go in honor, and remember the names of the people who have helped to build you. Do not forget them. Those people are critical. And they are very important in our lives as individuals. Remember always that people will be there if you go and ask for help. If you do not go for help, you may not be able to get that help. Thank you so much, for being with us. And we will see you next Saturday. Sorry, that was the wrong one. Okay, well, this is not letting me play what I want to play. So, but anyway, have a good day. It's a pleasure having each of you, and thank you so much.